Are you ready to outsource, but you don't know where to start? Then you're going to love this video. Hi, my name is Zane Miller, and I am a veteran video marketer and a bit of an obsessive interviewer. Now, today you are in for a real treat. I'm interviewing a guy who's not only my outsourcing mentor, but someone who's been able to generate so much money outsourcing that he went from 0 to 30 contract employees in just 2 years. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, who is this guy, right? Now, drum roll please. His name is Bradley Benner, and today we're going to talk about something that many people, myself included, have asked him to share. Now, one is the details on his new outsourcing product, and two, some great advice if you want to start outsourcing, but maybe want some extra guidance to avoid getting screwed. Now, I have recently implemented Bradley's strategies, and interestingly enough, in the last 30 days, I have been able to build an outsourcing team, but that outsourcing team has actually created 2 new businesses. Now, of course, this did not happen without deliberate and focused work on my part, but once I got the hang of the things that I had learned, it was really easy to implement. So, with all that in mind, let's jump right in. What is the name of the product, and why did you decide to make it?
All right, it's Outsource Kingpin, and I thought that was a good name, kind of catchy for the internet marketing crowd, although this can be applied to more than just the internet marketing crowd. Why did I decide to make it? Well, because we have a lot of coaching students and people that are starting off in internet marketing, or we even have SEO agency owner level students in our mastermind, and I'm talking about Semantic Mastery, but that's kind of our coaching side of our business. And a lot of the questions that we have that come in consistently over and over again are questions about outsourcing and, how to do it. And I learned how to outsource kind of by, like, I was forced into it because my business I was doing everything as a solopreneur for the first few years of my business. About 4 years of my SEO career, and for about 2 years. And, I started SEO and I did it kind of freelancer style for about 2 years. And then I opened up my own agency, and I was a solopreneur. I pretty much did everything on my own. And I mean, literally everything in my business on my own. And I did that for about 2 years. And then I reached a saturation level. I just couldn't do anymore. I was buried in work, swamped. I just had too much. And I wasn't able to scale beyond a certain point because I just didn't have enough time in the day to do everything myself. And I was working a lot. And I came across a book called it's called Work the System by Sam Carpenter. I mentioned this inside the Outsource Kingpin training. And I read the book, and it kind of shifted my mindset as to how to run a business. And that in order to scale, I was going to have to learn how to delegate work, which meant hire people and outsource, that kind of thing. And so that book had a profound impact on me, and it was like a switch in my head, and it made me realize that the only way I was ever going to be able to get myself out of working, like, I went from, I say I was a business owner, but I was really self-employed because I had to work in order to produce income. And I had to be there. It was me doing the work. So it had to be me that was producing in order to generate revenue. And so I was really self-employed, and I was working, 12, 13, 14 hours a day, 6 and 7 days a week. And so once I read this book, and I realized that I had to start delegating work in order to not only just scale my business, take on more clients, generate more revenue, that kind of thing, but also to get my time back. Because even though I was making good money, I couldn't enjoy it. And so I started learning how to outsource. And fast forward about 3 years later, which is now, and I actually have my local SEO agency and content marketing business, or content marketing agency, and I've got about 8 full-time employees over there, or contractors. And then I've got my Semantic Mastery coaching business, where we have about 22. In total, I run about 26 full-time employees and four part-time employees. So we're looking at in total about 30 contractors that I was able to hire using a very specific process that had been refined over the last 3 years. I've hired a lot of people. I've trained a lot of people. And so I've developed systems on how to hire, how to train, and how to manage outsourcers. And so circling back to the beginning of the question that you asked me, why did I create this product? Well, because a lot of our coaching students want to be able to start outsourcing work and delegating work. And that's one of the biggest hangups. And we hear the same type of story from our students all the time about, reaching a point where they can't take on any more work because they're doing everything themselves, and they just don't know how to hire, and they don't know how to train. They don't know how to manage. So they just don't do it. They do everything themselves. And so I saw this being a real need, and decided to put all of my systems into a training program so that I could teach others how to do it. And there's how Outsource Kingpin was born. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but I kind of wanted to give a background as to how it came about and why I think it's necessary.
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly why I have these questions set up, so that you can expand on that and the viewers can get to know the product creators better. As you put this together, I mean, you've gone from being the one-man show to 30 employees. With this, if someone were to be brand new, they're not one of your past customers, but they're brand new. Do you think they would feel that it would be easy to understand?
Yeah, because that's the way when I create training videos, I am very detailed. And the reason why is because I feel like, I buy a ton of training products online all the time. I'm in the internet marketing industry. So because of that, I'm bombarded by offers all the time, and I buy a lot of them. It's, we call it shiny object syndrome. And I have a case of that too. I think all good marketers do. And, so one of the things that I find in about 90%, maybe even higher than that, of all products that I buy is the training will show you like how to do something, but not so much the why behind why you're doing it. And I find that to be irritating, because I feel like there's a void. Like I'm not getting the whole picture. Like to me, it's not good enough just to know how to do something. I want to know why I'm doing it too. And so when I create any kind of training videos, I do the same thing. I try to explain it very thoroughly, because I want people to have a really good understanding as to not only what to do, but why they're doing it, because I think that makes you a better, more well-rounded, more sophisticated business person anyways. And in this case, as an outsourcer, you're going to be an employer. And so going through the training, it's not difficult to understand, but there's a lot of work that goes into setting up these what we call hiring funnels, and then setting up the infrastructure to be able to train and manage virtual assistants. But the good news is it's front end heavy work. In other words, you do all the work up front, and there's no easy button. If you're going to own a real business, like, there is no easy button. There's no magic bullet that's going to just solve there's no push button software solutions that are going to solve all your problems. Anybody that tries to sell you that crap is full of it. and you're just going to waste your money. And this is how you can build a real and scalable business. So putting in the front end work is going to enable you to be able to actually remove yourself from your business and have it still generate revenue, because you have people performing your daily operations for you. So it's easy to understand, but I also want anybody interested in purchasing it and coming and taking the going through the course, I want them to understand that there is going to be some front end work on your part. There's no question. But once it's done, just know that you're going to be able to free your time back up to either reinvest back into your business as on more higher level tasks, work on your business instead of in your business, or go spend some time with the family, go on vacation, do whatever you want, because you'll have people actually running your business for you. So
the next question here is, okay, how long will it take to get through the content? Like, I know that there's definitely the implementation, but like, as far as the content goes, how long would it take for me to go through the training, understand it, and then be ready to implement?
Well, I don't know how long in total all the video content adds up to. Probably a few hours, I'm sure. I would say, and typically, just so you know, when I go through training products, a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll sit down and go through all the training videos and any supporting material, like all at once or over a couple sittings if it's a lot of training, before I start to implement. Then I go back to watch a second time and I watch and pause as I implement. That way I have an understanding. And again, for me, guys, this is just my personal way of learning. I don't know how you guys are, but I'm just suggesting this, and I'm going to tell you why. Here's the why. Whenever I like to know the whole process from beginning to end, like see the process occur or be completed one time thoroughly before starting to implement anything. Because if I start to implement something that I don't understand why it's being implemented, it bothers me. And so again, it's about the why. I need to know the why. So I like to go through all the training one time first and then go back through it the second time as I'm implementing. So if you were to just sit down and go through all the training, I imagine, and don't quote me on this because I'm not 100% sure, but I think you could probably go through all of it in about 4 or 5 hours. As far as implementing it, well, that's going to there's a ton of variables there as to how long it's going to take you to implement, and I'm sure we'll discuss some of those as well.
That rolls right into the next question of, if I follow the steps, how long does it typically take to start seeing results?
Okay, so
right?
That is the other. So there's the variables, or the variables are things such as, what types of tasks you're going to be delegating. How advanced is your business currently? Like what the types of tasks that you're going to start to delegate, what level of complexity are they? Because obviously more complex tasks are going to take longer for you to set up properly to produce what we call working procedures, which, essentially like the step-by-step training on how to perform a specific task. All of that is, so there's so many variables, it's really difficult for me to say. What I would suggest, or what I suggest in the training, and I'll suggest it now as well, is if you're going to be starting off for the very first time, that you should hire a general virtual assistant to begin with and start delegating some of your repetitive or mundane tasks, things that you have to do regularly that really probably aren't all that difficult and somebody else could do for you. Hire a general virtual assistant and start unloading those types of tasks to your general virtual assistant first, because that's going to start to free your time up to work on creating working procedures for the more complex tasks, which are going to require, it's going to require a lot of effort and time on your part to set those up. But once again, once you have those set up, then you can plug people into them and you don't have to do it anymore yourself, which is going to free you up with a ton of work. So in looking back in my own journey, my own path with outsourcing, like that's not how I did it. I actually hired for a very specific task, and I spent 3 months working on developing my working procedures before I ever hired my first virtual assistant. But then when I did, I hired 2 full-time virtual assistants at the same time. In retrospect, I would have gone back and hired a general virtual assistant as soon as I possibly could have, and started unloading, again, repetitive tasks to them so that I could have sped up or shortened the time that it took for me to create the working procedures for those other 2 specific tasks I was talking about. So instead of it taking me 3 months, because I still had to manage my business and create all my working procedures at that time, I could have probably had it done in, 3 weeks if I had a lot of my business, responsibilities covered by somebody else, being handled by somebody else. I could have focused more on that. So how long does it take to implement it? It's really going to depend on where you are with your business and how much work you're going to delegate. But to start off with, if you were to hire a general virtual assistant, you could have somebody in place starting to complete some of your tasks in as little as 2 weeks. Go through the training, set up a hiring funnel, post a job posting, go through the process, hire somebody, and then you should already have some basic working procedures in place. And that's, again, how you document a specific task. You should have some basic stuff in the place. That way, once you hired somebody, you can plug them directly into it. So I'd say within 2 weeks, you could probably have somebody working for you that's freeing up some of your time.
Wow. See that? And you're also throwing in some good education, which makes me feel kind of bad for asking this next question. But is there a tip or a nugget that you can share with the viewers right now, of course, in relation to Outsource Kingpin? I'm sure you know a lot of stuff about internet marketing, but specific to outsourcing and Outsource Kingpin, is there something that you could tell us right now that they can apply to their business right now that would help them?
Yeah, I've got 2. So one I just kind of already gave you, which was don't wait on this, guys. If you're trying to build a business, do not wait on outsourcing. So, for example, part of the reason I didn't want to hire anybody there was a few reasons, and I'll give them to you now, why I was a solopreneur for so long. Number one is I didn't think anybody could do what I did as good as I did it. It sounds arrogant, guys, but I bet you feel that same way too, right? I'm sure a lot of you feel like you know some things that you can do that other people can't do as good as you can do, right? And that's wrong. That's a very closed-minded way to think, and you'll never be able to run a scalable business and be able to scale a business and be able to remove yourself from that business if you think that way. So number one is don't wait. Okay, start trying to unload tasks as soon as possible. I mean, if you are generating profit in your business right now, positive revenue in your business right now, and you don't have any outsourcers or virtual assistants helping you, then immediately go hire somebody and train them and start delegating some of your work. Okay, unloading some of your workload onto somebody else. Number one. So that's the first one. Don't wait. Get started sooner than later. Working procedures, start developing those sooner than later, because the more your business grows, the more advanced your business gets, the more the more workload it will be to create working procedures. So, and that rolls right into the second tip that I'm going to give you. And this is fresh on my mind because I did it. I was working on it today. We had a fire erupt in our business, and that's a metaphor. What I mean by
sorry, I thought you meant literal.
No, what I mean by that is we had a problem arise in one of our businesses, which happens. And in every business, guys, you're going to have problems. Things are going to come up. And under normal circumstances, or under my old way of thinking was that, it would be me that would jump into whatever the problem was and go resolve it, fix the problem. And that's fine to do that because I'm the owner of the businesses. It's my responsibility ultimately to get stuff done. But the problem is then we are reactive, like we're on call to our business at all times. In other words, when something goes wrong, it's going to require our attention, then we still haven't really achieved that level of freedom yet, right? That's part of it. But it's like in the book that I was talking about earlier, Work the System, he calls it whack-a-mole, or putting out fires, right? So every time a mole comes up, we go whack that mole, and guess what? There's another mole that pops up somewhere else. You got to go whack that mole. Or putting out fires is another term. Every time a fire erupts, you got to go put it out. And so I had a problem arise in one of my businesses today, and I found out about it this morning, first thing. So I had to spend about 4 hours fixing the problem. I probably could have fixed the problem in about an hour, or worked on coming up with a resolution to the problem. It could have probably only taken me about an hour, but it took me 4 hours. And here's why: because before I would always just jump in and fix the problem and then move on to the next thing. But this time, as I fixed the problem, I documented exactly what I did throughout the entire process. So it took me a total of about 4 hours to do what may have only took me an hour to do. But here's the thing: next time that problem arises, it can be delegated directly to somebody else, a team leader, for example. One of my other virtual assistants, I can just give them the working procedure that I created today and say, follow this process, and that problem will be resolved. So it won't take any of my time the next time. Does that make sense? And the time after and the time after.
Yeah. So you're essentially duplicating yourself through a working procedure.
That's correct. And so the two tips were: number one, don't wait. Get started as soon as possible on outsourcing and developing working procedures. Number one. Number two is every time something comes up in your business, a mole pops up, a fire erupts, and it's time to put that fire out, to go whack that mole. Document what you did. Seriously. I mean, it's going to take you a little bit longer to do it than it would if you just went in and fixed it and then on about your business until the next time when you'd have to fix it again. Document the procedure, because every time that stuff happens, now if you document it, that's the last time you'll ever have to do it, because you can delegate it from that point on to your virtual assistants who you're going to be hiring, since you're going to buy Outsource Kingpin and go through the training.
So absolutely. All right, well then let's get down to brass tacks, Bradley. What is going to be the investments today?
For launch price is $47 for the first few days, and then it goes to $67, and then I think we close launch pricing either at 7-day or 10-day mark. I can't remember. I don't really handle the sales end of it, but it's 47, then 67, and finally its evergreen price is going to be $97.
What's your guarantee if you have one?
30 days, money back. If you don't like the course for whatever reason, you have 30 days to return it. But honestly, if you go through the training and you implement it, and guys, look, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you there's not work involved. There's absolutely work involved, but we're talking about building a real business, not one of these fake internet marketing businesses that you go out and spend $47 on a JVZoo product and push button simple, you're going to be rich in 2 weeks. This isn't that. I mean, this is about building a real business that you can step away from, and it still produces you revenue because you're still fulfilling whatever, you're selling products. Your business is operating without your input. That's what I'm getting at. And so, if you go through the training, you will absolutely be able and implement. You have to take action, but you'll absolutely be able to start to build a true business. So, but if you go through it and you say, oh, this is too much work, this isn't for me, and as long as it's within the first 30 days since you purchase, just hit us up via support and we'll refund it for you.
All right, awesome. Seems like a respectable guarantee. If I decide to invest, is there going to be another offer given to me later on? Like, can you tell us about that? Sometimes people don't want to get that sprung on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't like it when I don't like that either. Yes, there is an upsell in the funnel. There absolutely is. It's for our IFTTT SEO Academy, which is one of the products through Semantic Mastery, which is my coaching business. It's a good fit if you're in the SEO industry or content marketing or podcasting. If you're in content marketing, period, which could include video marketing, podcasting, blogging, IFTTT SEO Academy is great because it will help you to get so much more exposure. And it's something that should be outsourced. The process of building the networks, the broadcasting and distribution or syndication networks, which is what IFTTT SEO Academy is all about, is it's very labor intensive. It's incredibly effective. My entire SEO agency is built on the foundation of IFTTT SEO networks. So that's what is taught in this academy training, is how to do that. But it's a lot of work to build those networks, and so we outsource it. In fact, the first two people I ever hired as virtual assistants to outsource were IFTTT SEO builders, and that's what I was talking about. It took me 3 months to create all the working procedures for how to do it, and then that's what ended up leading into IFTTT SEO Academy, which is the product that is the upsell. If you're into any sort of content marketing or SEO, it's a great upsell. I mean, I would purchase it if I were you, because once you go through Outsource Kingpin and you start to develop your own team, you have now a business model that you can have them build for you. But that's really it. I mean, it's a complementary product. It's not going to be a fit for everybody. There's no question. But those of you that are in the content marketing industry or SEO, video marketing, anything like that, it would be a really good fit, especially with the Outsource Kingpin training, because you can train a virtual assistant or a team of virtual assistants to build these networks for you, and you'll get really, really good results.
Well, awesome. Then I'm going to go ahead and put up the buy button here, or something that people can click on, or an arrow of where they should be. So while you're considering this, Bradley, I always want to give everybody, the interviewee, the chance to sort of close us off. What are your final thoughts about outsourcing, and just in general, sort of what do you think people should be doing next, besides, of course, getting Outsource Kingpin?
Well, my biggest thing is to find some of you that are going to be watching this interview or considering buying the product already have a business that you're working on, like a very specific business model. And first of all, congratulations to you, because there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this that don't have a specific business model in mind yet. They haven't selected one, and probably you're being blown around by the internet marketing winds. In other words, you probably see a ton of different opportunities all the time that look very promising, and you jump on them, and then you find out that there's a lot of work involved, and don't put the work in to actually see it through to it being successful. So you end up jumping to the next product, the next opportunity, because the grass is always greener, right, on the other side of the fence. So, and my point is Outsource Kingpin is a way to, if you focus in on a particular business model, even if it's a lot of work, something that you don't want to do yourself, you can have a team of outsourcers or virtual assistants that can do that for you, and actually apply some of these products and these trainings that you may have already purchased to see it through to where it does start making money, because it's not you that has to put in the work, it's your virtual assistants, right? And so that's my point. If you remove yourself from the equation, then a lot of the stuff that you probably already purchased could be monetized. It could generate revenue for you because you know it's getting done, because you took the bottleneck out of the equation, which was you. And so my point is that for my closing thoughts would be that, no matter where you are in your business, whether you're just starting out or you already have, a business model very specific that you're working on, and that's great. I'm sure every one of you could benefit by being able to delegate, lift some of the workload off of your shoulders and put it onto somebody else in a cost-effective manner. And that's what Outsource Kingpin's about. So we hope to see you inside, and hopefully you'll get to apply some of the stuff that I want to teach to you guys today, so that you can shortcut your time from being a solopreneur to actually running a business that generates revenue with or without you being there.